5, kung ordinaryong tao ang magdala ng maliit na kalibreng baril, huli ka agad, kasuhan agad, pero mga rebelde, kompleto. 4277, more power to your responsible and candid program. From General Llano's opinion, what would be a successful way of bringing all factions in Mindanao to a long and lasting peace, or would federalism be the answer where major regions in the country such as Bicol, Ilocos, Tagalog, Cebuanos, Mindanaoans would become autonomous under one republic? Asyong of Kainta. Before he answers that, ituloy niyo lang po yung yung sinabi niyo kanina.
As I mentioned, we have a good AFP modernization plan under that particular act, as provided for by law. But of course, this requires huge funding requirement. And of course, that's the act of not just the national leadership, but Congress in particular. Because we have come to a point, the armed forces, over the years, I do not want to say that the armed forces have been neglected, but the support provided to it was not really enough. So that at this point, the armed forces capability has suffered tremendous deficiency gap. So much so that to come to a point where we can be at par with the standard, not with the more developed armed forces, but just within the region, the Southeast Asian region. I feel that we have to do a lot of, catching up.
Are we asking our soldiers to die with less? In simple terms, I want to be, I don't know, blatant about this. No? And it is almost criminal when you do that to somebody who is willing to give up his life by giving him less.
I think we need an honest-to-goodness political will to really decide.
Okay.
Because we have, at this point, we are not yet on the level of modernization. We are just on an upgrade program, just to reach a level that could perform the
Naghahabol pa tayo.
minimum. Naghahabol tayo.
Naghahabol tayo,
So it's not the honest-to-goodness modernization to be able to address territorial defense functions. So naghahabol pa lang tayo, no? Now, so in that case, we do not, what we need is not just funding increase in trickles, but we need an exponential increase, a very substantial increase, so that we'll be able to catch up. And from there, that's where we start. The real modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines.
So that our neighboring countries can also respect us. Could we almost dare say that?
Yes. An armed forces that, of course, our own people can love and can respect, and of course our own neighbors and the other armed forces, especially within the region. No, it goes without saying that you should have your own respectable armed forces.
Okay, General Llano, before you go to the other points that you want to talk about, the wish list for the armed forces, just to give way to that commentary, do you have any magic bullet, a silver bullet, or a formula in order to bring all the warring factions in Mindanao together? And the second question was, is federalism a good option?
They're considering that. I'm not really an expert in that field.
As far as federalism is concerned,
it's worth considering. It's worth considering.
How would you bring all the factions together? Because a while ago you came up with a good point that I think right now they have homogenized the Bangsa, all the different tribes as Bangsamoro, when actually they're different individuals, different cultures, different languages, you know. And that's a very dangerous thing.
That's correct. That's correct. It's very difficult to untangle a problem that had been there for centuries. So I don't think there's a magic formula. I think we just have to be patient.
And do you think that by homogenizing everybody as Bangsamoro, does that expedite the solution, or does that complicate the problem?
But not just on paper.
What do you think?
We cannot homogenize the group on paper.
Okay.
We have to have some concrete
coming
actions,
from
yeah.
coming from somebody from Mindanao, he knows what he's talking about. Napapangiti na lang ako kasi nagkakaintindihan kami dalawa ni General Yan. Okay. Okay, yung funding, that's always the problem no?
Yeah.
Sigurado 'yan. And then next is pag lumalapit ang isang sundalo sa inyo, isang opisyal, sir, pwede bang ganito, ganon? What else do they tell you? What else is needed?
We have been talking about professionalizing the armed forces. When we talk of professionalizing, we're not just talking about hardware and the material wherewithal
Logistical
of the
support.
armed forces.
Oo.
Of course, we have to have the systems, for example, within the organization. And I would say that the armed forces should remain insulated from partisan political activities because, as I've said, it's the only legitimate armed force. If you abuse or misuse the armed forces, it will be difficult for the country.
Nakakaabot sa inyo ito?
Yeah, even-
Pinapaabot sa inyo ito ngayon?
Yeah, there are
Okay,
some.
okay.
Even during those times, the national leadership, for example, should be very keen on this. That you have a president who is wearing two hats. A president is a politician, and a commander-in-chief as head of the armed forces of the Philippines. Now, there are activities that are purely partisan in nature, and I would say that the armed forces should be insulated from that. We should not, and it's not only the national leadership of the government, but all sectors of society, which should see to it that we nurture an environment that should be conducive to professionalizing in armed forces and free them from any influence, partisan influences.
Meritocracy, you're trying to say?
Meritocracy is very important. Competence of the officers, for example, should be the main or the principal parameter in the selection and in the promotion of officers. Because the armed forces is a closely knit organization. And at the rank of starting at a major or lieutenant colonel, we know each other. We have a particular brand. Our name, our service reputation has already been established.
Precedes you actually?
Yes. And actually, starting at that rank, you are known, whether positively or negatively.
Yes.
Yeah? So we already know from a certain batch who we have a short list of, say, 3 or 4 people who are prospective top leaders in the near future. So regardless of changes in administration, those shortlisted people are expected to be there on the top, unless they commit some serious debacles or offenses that would undermine.
So these kinds of comments reach you today?
Yes, these are very important because when we talk of professionalizing the armed forces, that meritocracy is a very important factor. That you select the people regardless of any affiliation. In fact, those partisan affiliations should never be a factor because these people have invested so much in terms of performance, in terms of job functions, their performance in the field or in garrison, and they have worked so much for that. And of course, changes in administration come and go. These are just incidental. But the armed forces, the organization, and the people within the organization are there, performing, because if you do not practice this type of meritocracy, then people will just align with certain political candidates, which is not good for the organization.
It politicizes the organization. Yes, that's correct. One way is it politicizes the organization, and in another breath, it civilianizes it. Instead of professionalizing it.
That's correct. Yeah. So it does not even cost money.
Yes.
So not everything in the AP modernization is budget-related.
A while ago, off camera, you were talking about how far stretched the AFP is being asked to undertake so many tasks. But before you answer that, I'll read this. 7418, yung conflict dyan sa South noon pa panahon ng Spanish, then Americans. Hanggang ngayon, they are challenging the authorities. 2525, mga rebelde, may mga kampo pa. Daming mga baril, lumaban pa sa gobyerno. Bakit hindi kayang buwagin? Very good point. 9698, good evening po. Mas okay naman kayo kaysa kay Purisima. Didi Bulacan. Well, yan ang mga komento natin. Eric, thanks for reading our texts word for word. Shows your fairness. We continue to participate in the program. Though we may differ in opinion, pero minsan halata namin you feed your guests with your own ideas instead of just letting them speak for themselves. But if that is your style, then so be it. Your fairness is what draws respect. Alam niyo po, kailangan sa Pilipino, kailangan ngumingiti tayo. At pag minsan, alam niyo po, mahirap pag nasa harap po ng camera. Kaya minsan, kailangan alalayan natin dahil yan po kultura natin eh. Di ba? Hindi tayo katulad ng mga Amerikano na talagang binabakbak natin kasi hindi tayo ganun. Okay? 2525, si Boy Torillo. Ako ang nagtanong tungkol sa mga rebelde. Bakit hindi kayang hulihin? Walang license sa mga baril. From Boy Torillo, Cagayan de Oro. Oy, bay, may gabi ninyo. Ordinaryong tao, preso agad. Thanks for reading my messages. Merry Christmas. Okay. Ano ba talaga yung masyadong overspread, overworked, underpaid, undersupported? If I might be sarcastic about it, ang ating AFP, is that what's happening? We're being asked to do so many things na parang nawawala na yung core functions.
Yes, if I have to summarize the core challenges of the armed forces, first, of course, we have our own internal security operations against the domestic threats. Marami tayo, and we know who are they. And we have the traditional function of any armed forces, territorial defense against external threats. Of course, we have our function on humanitarian assistance and disaster response because of the emerging threat in the environment. The armed forces is also doing that. And we also, lastly, we have our peace support operations. These are our international commitments. We have sent contingents in many parts of the world, the conflict-affected regions of the world, and this is our commitment as a member in good standing of the United Nations. So this is it. These are some of the challenges. But lately, I think even in the recent past, the military had been engaged in so many activities that are not within their core competency, not within the mandate of, or the functions of the military, so much so that first, they have dissipated the resources, their energies, their time, their effort, by doing a lot of things that are not supposed to be done, are supposed to be within the purview of certain agencies of government.
General, itanong ko sa inyo, pag lumakad yung isang truck na ganun, kunyari may disaster or may tinulungang isang pamilya sa isang malayong lugar, sinong pera ang ginagamit dyan? AFP yan?
We have some budget for that, but not as much because that is not, we have.
Pero hindi ba dapat kayo ang bibigyan at yung truck lang ang gagamitin? Parang ganun, ano?
Yes, even dito sa disaster response, the military, the armed forces are supposed to be the first responders.
Okay.
No, yung mga siguro mga initial stages, no, the first 3 days, 72 hours. This is understandable because the armed forces first has the manpower strength.
Okay.
It is well organized.
It is discipline.
It is discipline. You have the equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. So during emergencies, in the first chaotic hours, you have the armed forces coming in. But as when the time comes, when normal